Hello there, welcome to Makers TV episode 3. And today I'm going to talk about the 5 levels of identifying your target audience. Now, the past couple of episodes we've talked about this in terms of product development and selling a product or service, but this week I also want to go into the idea of talking about target audience if you are a graphic designer or doing graphic design for your business. So I'm Michaela Danvers of themakerscollective.com.au, and I publish live weekly episodes delivering short, sharp, actionable lessons to strengthen your brand and grow your business. So welcome. If this is your first episode, this is number 3. We're very new still. In the first episode, I introduced the concept of the 7 core strengths of your business. And today we're delving a little bit deeper into another one of those strengths. So today we're doing your customer, and more specifically, how to find the people that are actually going to buy your stuff. So first of all, who is your customer? I'd love to get some answers in the comments if you'd like to comment. Basically, I teach at university, and I teach graphic design, and a lot of the time we say, okay, who is your target audience for this thing that you are designing? And maybe it's like a poster for some sort of shoes or something. And the students often say, well, people who like to buy shoes is the target audience. The problem being that not everyone who likes to buy shoes or needs a pair of shoes can be talked to in the same way or advertised to in the same way or even likes the same kind of shoes. So it's really important to get much more specific than that. And in order to be able to do that, to really niche down, there's basically 5 levels that you can sort of dig into to really get to know your customer, who they are, how to speak to them, where they are, most importantly, so you can actually sell them your thing. So the 5 things are, let me just get up this thing here. So the 5 levels that we're going to talk about are demographics, psychographics, pain points, behavior, and intersection. And I say intersection because I sort of mean location, but I don't want to get that confused with geography, because we're talking about where people hang out and then where you are going to intersect with them to be able to sell your thing. So as we go through these levels, I would love to see your comments on each. If you've thought about this for your product, a lot of people do know about the demographics of their customers or their target audience, but not many people know about the rest of the stuff. So especially those starting out in business. Of course, if you've been in business for a few years, you probably know at least 3 or 4 or 5 of these levels. But it's always good to revisit as well. If you've been in business for a few years and you've been selling a product, maybe your target market has actually changed a little bit, and it's good to revisit and just make sure that everything is where it should be and you're talking the right way to your customers. So first of all, we're going to talk about demographics. So this is the one like I said before, that most people kind of know about. So we're talking about gender, age, income, location, occupation, that sort of thing. So for example, if we go back to the shoes, if you're selling shoes for, a certain type of shoes, maybe like super fancy high heel shoes, let's say, if you're trying to sell those to people who are going out clubbing, we would assume that that age bracket is sort of the 18 to maybe 28 age bracket. Now, if you have that age bracket, maybe you sell the same shoes to an older age bracket also, maybe sort of like 35 to 45, but you're actually going to be speaking quite differently to those 2 types of people. So if you're trying to sell shoes to an 18-year-old, you're going to speak differently than if you're selling shoes to a 45-year-old. They're very, very different people, and they don't want to be talked to in the same way. You're going to alienate one of them. So this is kind of why you want to focus down and be quite specific in this level that we're talking about in the demographics. So as I was saying, age, gender, it might be both genders, all genders. It might be one specific gender. Income bracket, knowing how much people are willing to pay. Basically, if people do not have the income to be able to afford your $250 shoes, then they're not your target audience. You need to be able to target the people that can afford your thing. If you are targeting people on the lower end of the income scale, then your pricing needs to reflect that. Is the location relevant. Maybe, maybe not. If you're selling online, maybe it's not. Or maybe you do only sell to Australians, so like to ship to Australia. So then, of course, you would only be targeting people in Australia. If you don't ship overseas, you don't want to be like sending an ad to people in Brazil or somewhere, because you're just wasting your money. Occupation might be relevant, it might not. But if you're going back to the shoe thing, maybe if you're targeting dancers specifically and maybe they work in the dance industry, then that's going to be quite relevant to your product and to your marketing and overall what you're trying to achieve with finding your customers. So, of course, there's a lot more to go into with demographics, but we are trying to keep these episodes nice, short and sharp so you can consume them quickly and take an action step easily. So that's what we're going to cover for today in demographics. And the next level is then psychographics. And this is where people maybe haven't really heard of this term before, but psychographics sort of encompass family, health, lifestyle, the person's values, their personality traits, their interests. So it goes a little bit deeper. So you sort of know, how old people are, how much money they have, and maybe what their like job is or where they are. And now you're going into if they like what they like doing. So if we'll just stick with the shoe example because it's the easiest to go with. So their interests might be dance, or a specific type of dance, or maybe their personality traits are that they're happy, bubbly people, and that's how you can appeal to them. Maybe their lifestyle is that they are actually, I don't know, let's throw some other things in here. Maybe they're young mums, so they're dancers and they do that as their job, but they also have a young family at home and they need to juggle their priorities around that. Like, this is all stuff that you can use to be able to appeal to these people and speak to them directly as your target audience. So then and the psychographics is like a massive thing that, I go into it a bit more in depth in the customer profile workshop, which you can do, which is free, and I'll add the link below the video if you want to jump onto that. It's a half an hour workshop that you can do. Okay, so then once you sort of know a little bit more about your customers, you really want to find out. So you have this sort of bunch of people that have all this stuff in common. So they have in common their age range, they have in common their income or whatever, they have in common their interests and maybe their like core values and maybe their family structure. So you have this like whole big bunch of people that is a small segment of the population. So you've sort of niched down, but then once you have that core bunch of people, you need to know what their needs are. So what are their pain points? And when we're talking about pain points, it's basically just identifying what the need is that's going to make them purchase your thing. So what will their motivation be to purchase your thing? So maybe they're looking for that specific thing because of a problem they have. They need a specific type of shoe because they maybe it's like a medical thing, like they have, I don't know dance stuff. Maybe they have this thing with their feet and they need special shoes. Or maybe it's for like an affordable solution to the very expensive dance shoes that are already out there or something like that. Basically, or if it's just like, it doesn't even have to be a need where they have like a really tangible problem. It could be that you're just helping your customer be more like who they want to be or more like who they already are. So if they're a really extroverted, outgoing person who loves like dressing up and like putting on a show kind of thing when they go out, then your shoes that have like fancy disco ball mirror stuff on them and look really awesome, them purchasing your shoes is helping them be more like who they are. Or if they would like to be that person who's really extroverted and like really well put together and dresses up all the time, then your product is helping you be more like who they want to be. So that's how you can solve a pain point or a problem for someone without having to be like you're fixing their, wobbly legs or something like that. So pain points don't have to be changing the world sort of stuff. Can be, but not always. So try not to get tripped up too much on that pain point thing. So the next one that we're going to talk about very briefly is behavior. And behavior is basically, does the person already know about your product or service? Do they have knowledge about these cool fancy shoes and they're already they're comparing yours and another competitor's shoes? Or do they not know, that the solution exists at all? So this will also influence how you talk to them. If they're going to, if they need, not convincing, but if you need to make them aware of the product or not. Do they already use the product? So they might be aware of it. They might actually already have a pair of shoes like this. Will they need to buy another pair? That sort of thing. And then if they do already use something like your product or someone else's product, what is their response to it? Do they love it? Do they not love it? How can you make them love yours? That sort of thing. So it's all about their behavior and how they respond to stuff, their knowledge, their attitude, and their response to the product. So then the last one is intersection. And as I said, this is more about like location, like where they hang out. It's not really about their actual physical location in the world. It's not geography based. And it's basically just about meeting your customers where they are. So you need to think about where they hang out. So just changing examples here. If you're offering like a service like yoga for mums of toddlers, then, sorry, my dogs are barking. Someone must be here. I'd say a good place to leave some flyers about your business, your yoga business, might be like the local swim school, because parents with young children go to swim schools. So think about the possibility for your own products and services. So where does your ideal audience hang out? Do they like online and offline? So in real life and also on the internet. So it could be that a specific website, maybe there's a specific website that all your customers go to like every day. So maybe some paid advertising to be on that website is a good idea, or maybe you could pitch them like a guest blog post or something linking back to your site. That could work too, because even if it's like not fully related to your, like what you're offering, then they could it's still a good place to catch your customer's eye, basically. So I would like you now to think about your own business, and can you easily identify who your target audience is? And a really great way to solidify this is to actually write a customer profile. So you basically give them a name, you like write a little bio as if it's on the inside of a book dust jacket, like who they are, what their family's like, what they like doing, all that kind of stuff. And then, you can basically tell us if you'd like to put in the comments, that'd be great. But otherwise, keep it personal, do it as a personal exercise. And it's just really good because then when you're creating your product descriptions or any copy for your website or anything, then you need to write as if you're talking to that one person. And that then is going to resonate a lot more with your customers. If you're doing it in the right place, meeting them where they are, intersecting as that fifth level, then they're going to really hear you and feel like you are talking directly to them. So if you would like more help defining your ideal customers, then you might consider joining the Makers Academy, which you can do. I've put a link below, but you can do it at www.themakers.academy. And the Makers Academy is a membership for makers and creators like you wanting to learn how to sell your stuff so you can replace your 9-to-5 job with something you're more excited about, which is what I'm all about, helping you how to do. So that's pretty much it for this week. I'm still not under the 10-minute mark, but we're definitely keeping under the 15-minute mark, so it's not too bad. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and I will see you next week. Thanks.